Well, some Canadians are taking matters into their own hands when it comes to pushing back against U.S. tariffs. People say they've started buying Canadian-made French's ketchup instead of Heinz, swapping Jim Beam whiskey for Ontario's own J.P. Wiser's, and ditching California wines in favor of ones from local wineries. But will such a boycott have any effect? Joining me now from Ottawa is trade expert Adam Taylor. Mr. Taylor, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So are there simple ways Canadians could support industries threatened by tariffs? Is it as simple as buy this, not that?
Well, that is certainly a symbolic gesture that Canadians could make. Whether it actually has a major impact on the U.S. economy is another whole question. And the answer is no, it won't have much of an impact just because the U.S. is such a massive economy that has a lot of domestic demand buying its own products that it makes. So at the end of the day, it's a good symbolic way for Canada to stand together and show solidarity against these types of punitive trade actions, but that's about it.
So it would be symbolic at best, you're saying. But, you know, there was a push last year to symbolically, Canadians want to say they wouldn't travel to the United States in protest of President Trump's election and the immigration laws he was trying to bring in. As it turns out, Canadian travel to the U.S. actually rose close to 3% in 2017. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it goes to show that in the immediate short run, you always see a very emotional reaction to these types of things. But over time, people are busy, they lead busy lives, and they go about their day-to-day, usually without much change in their day-to-day habits. And I think we'll see that especially when it comes to boycotting, especially food products and things like that, where it's you go into the grocery store, you know what you're going to buy, you're busy, you have a certain amount of time and you want to get in and get out, and you probably won't spend too much time, looking at the sticker on every tomato to make sure it's not made in the United States.
All right, so is there a better way for Canadians to take a stand?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Canadians should actually do the very opposite of what a boycott would show. Is we should actually stand tall and proud in support of free and open trade. We're a trade-dependent economy. 1 in every 5 jobs depends on the trade we do around the world. 2/3 of our annual gross domestic product is driven by trade. So we're a proud trading nation. We should actually embrace that, and we should go ahead and look around the world and find new markets to continue to sell our goods and products. And if anything, the Trump administration's protectionist measures show why we need to diversify beyond the U.S. market. 75% of our exports go to the United States. We need to actually start to go to Europe. We need to start to go to Asia. And we need to actually diversify. We say in trade, diversify markets means diversify risk. And that's what I think ultimately we should be doing as Canadians.
Well, you just talked about diversifying trade to Europe, and we heard yesterday that the Italian government says it won't ratify the Canada-EU trade agreement. You worked on CETA at a time when Canada is at loggerheads with the United States, our largest trading partner. How significant is this? And to play devil's advocate for a moment, doesn't something like this play into the hands of Donald Trump, who says that multilateral trade agreements are just way too difficult to negotiate because you can have one of the many partners who could scuttle the entire deal?
Yes, and I think this is also why Canada should actually be the shining example of why free and open trade is the best way to create jobs and prosperity for all trading partners, and show that trade actually is a win-win. With respect to Europe, that trade deal is already 95% plus in force, and all of the state-by-state ratifications that need to happen affect such a narrow piece of that trade agreement. So the Italy decision probably won't, in the long term, affect that too much. At the same time, the need for us to continue to push and diversify our trade is a real and pressing and urgent matter for Canadian exporters and Canadian businesses. And just yesterday, in fact, the federal government introduced legislation to implement our Pacific Rim trade deal, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And so we have a real chance now to break into those fast-growing Asian markets that are huge. They want what Canada makes, and they need what Canada has. And so we should actually be looking into those markets: Japan, Malaysia, Vietnam, and on and on. There's huge opportunities for Canada to continue to diversify our trade.
All right, Adam Taylor in Ottawa, thank you so much.
Thank you.